This
Time close.
conference will now be
Okay,
recorded.
so coming to my EWM experience and my experience, guys. So currently working, I mean, like I've been into this EWM world since from 2010, I can say. Since from 10 years, I was working as an EWM consultant in multiple projects. Okay, so currently based out in Netherlands, working as an TM and EWM consultant for one of the manufacturers, for the car manufacturer companies. So where we are implementing both TM and as well as an S4 EWM for them. Yeah, so that's my introduction in short. Okay, prior to this, I worked as an MMWM consultant. So yeah, so altogether, I'm almost having like 18 years of experience in this EWM space itself. So apart from that, yes, I also give a part of it trainings. Like from past 7 years, I believe I've been into these trainings with Expertsoft, providing these EWM trainings with them and as well as TM as well. But I believe in between, yeah. So that's how, in short, I can say myself, guys. Okay. Any questions or anything? Yes, you can stop me in between. Okay, during the demo. That it's okay for me if you have that access of unmuting yourself, and or maybe you can put yourself in the chat as well. That's okay. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead with the demo then today. So I don't want to get into the details of all this course contents and what is an EWM or what is what. I'll try to give you an overview. I indeed, because in this 45 minutes or maybe of 1 hour of a demo, I can't put everything of all the details, but still I can just give you a look and feel of an EWM, what exactly this module offers you and why we are having this EWM. I mean, like in the past 5 years, 4 to 5 years, I can see there are a lot many opportunities are coming up for this EWM and as well as for the TM on this both logistics modules. The reason behind that, and okay, that's opportunities and all. We'll talk about that later. Okay. So now coming to this EWM. So maybe just a generic question to everyone. What does this EWM offers, like extended warehouse management? What exactly it refers to, guys, basically? Anyone, maybe you can unmute yourself. See that I don't have an access to unmute you guys, but anyone, what this module is offering to the business or to the customers who wants to implement a warehousing solution? What kind of an solution, I mean, like the business or the SAP is going to offer us? Any idea, guys? Anyone? Hello?
Ganesh Babu, actually to locate the exact location of the material in the
Indeed,
storage
actually,
thing.
yeah, that is true because being a warehousing thing, it ideally has to find out an exact location. That is true. So indeed, but why do you want to still want to go ahead with this particular EWM as an extended warehouse management? Because we have warehouse management, which is nothing but your stockroom management, okay, in an S4 limited landscapes. And we do have another Red Prairie or Manhattan or maybe or many other warehousing Oracle-based warehousing solutions, which ideally offers the same thing. There's nothing much, which ideally tells you where is your bin and where is your product and where it has been placed. That's it, right? That is what generally the warehousing people would like to know, right or wrong? Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Apart from that, you believe that is there any other specific things that we would like to have it with a warehousing guys? It's only like, okay, warehouse means nothing but what? It's just a good. I believe I'm audible, right? Yes, because I didn't have my headphones today. My audio is pretty clear, right?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Okay. So yeah. So any warehousing or whatever it is, it's just a kind of a large place or a large godown where we place our products there or we store our products there. But there is a difference between an inventory managed and as well as an warehouse managed, right? When we are talking about an inventory managed, it's basically what happens is we will not keep a track of it. It's only the stock or like how much of the stock we have it. But when we talk about this warehousing one, actually, yes, we will keep a track of each and every product in precise where exactly this has been stored, because of course you will be having a very big warehouses, so where you cannot ideally go physically and locate or you find out by yourself. So it's definitely you need help of a system where it has been exactly placed. So that's where we will have this warehousing. Apart from that, Yes, there are many other advantages when we talk about this warehousing, and specifically with an EWM one. So what it offers here is the seamless integrations between the other modules. For example, when we talk about your procurements, like your materials management thing, yes, it has an end-to-end configuration for all the business processes, what we talk, okay, like 95% to 99%, I can say. There are a few scenarios it might not. And the same way, when we talk about your order to cash, yes, it starts because you ideally also have to have an integration between your order to cash and your production, because many of the manufacturing plants will definitely need a production things, and that production raw materials of supplying your raw materials from your warehouse to your product shop floors is definitely required. And then you require your quality management again here when you're working in any kind of a process industries, so you definitely need a quality stuff there. And when we are talking about your automated warehouses like MES integrations or maybe your MFS or material flow systems, so all this kind of information or the integration is pretty much stable and it is perfectly done in the EWM system, which is not available in your stockroom management. Basically, earlier we have a warehouse management solutions in our legacy ERP systems like EHP7 or EHP6 or whatever it is. We used to have a warehouse management. Even in the S4 we do have it. However, now that has been renamed into another other thing called as a stockroom management. So basically it even offers the same stuff. However, the processes, like what kind of a processes that we would be required when we talk about a complex warehouse or when we talk about a simple warehouse. So any warehouse, the basic operations, okay, these are all the processes which I'll talk about this later. There should be a picture now. Are you able to see my screen by any
Yes.
chance, or it's still too small? Is it good now? Hello?
I guess the earlier one was much better.
Is that so?
Yeah.
What about now?
It looks okay. Yeah.
Or you want me to expand this? I don't know, because I don't know how does it is. Is it okay now to everyone? Yes, no, no, yes.
Yes, sure. That's good.
Okay. All right. Now, any of the warehousing, doesn't matter whether you're talking about your EWM or WM or any other Oracle-based ones. Okay. Basically, we will have only like 4 to 5 different basic processes. Like when we talk about an inbound and when we talk about an outbound or an internal or maybe another process basically. Now, what is this inbound? We generally talk about this. So the inbound is nothing but it's a kind of a process where we receive the goods inside your warehouse. That's it. Receiving the goods inside your warehouse is your inbound. And sending the goods outside your warehouse is nothing but your outbound process. So sending of the goods in the sense, maybe if you're working in the retail industries like your Amazon or maybe your H&M or any of these clients, so you're shipping your goods to your customers. So that process we call them as an outbound process. And internal, yes, of course, because we will be having a bin-to-bin movements and you will have another kind of an inventory stuffs and all. So those kind of an activities we will call it as an internal processes. Okay, so basically any directions or any point of the way, if we pick up the process in a warehouse, ideally it has been segregated into 3 different processes. Okay, one would be an internal process, and the other one would be your inbound process, and the other one would be your outbound process. Apart from that, you will not have any much processes in specific to have it to check out. 1 second. Completely changed. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Okay, so if you can see this, these are the major things that we always discuss about. Okay, like inbound, outbound, and the storage and the operations. Okay, so whether you talk about your WM or your EWM or any other business based solutions, whatever you pick it for a warehousing one, this would be the basic thing. Okay, there won't be any change in this. However, now it is something where we need to check back how we would need this inbound or an outbound and what kind of a processes that we would need to understand here. That is something where in detail that we will talk about in our basically sessions and all. Now that's not which is required, but you need to understand these things as part of the fundamental things of your warehousing one actually. Now, when we talk about this SAP, yes, because why do we need to have an SAP or maybe WM or a stockroom or an EWM? Of course, because it's a seamless integration between your other modules. That's the reason where we will always suggest to have this particular things and all. Now, when we talk about a landscapes, however, I'll just try to help you out with the changes, guys. Okay. Now, this demo part, what I'll do is I'll just segregate into 4 different things to make it very clear. Okay, first thing is the systems. Okay, the reason behind that, why we are talking about the systems, yes, because this particular EWM has been offered in multiple versions in earlier days. Okay, where we used to have ERP, which we call it as our ERP instance, which I believe many customers are using it still. Maybe now they are converting into S4 actually. And we used to have a separate box called as an SCM box. This SCM box and this ERP, okay, box where we will have our standard traditional modules, okay, like your MM or your SD or your QM or PP or all other stuffs and all. Okay, that's where we will talk about your standard modules, and we used to integrate this to your EWM one. So now when we are integrating this EWM, basically, earlier what happened is we used to have this in 2 different landscapes. One in an ERP of 6.0 and 7.0 the versions, and we used to have the SCM also, the SCM server, which we will call it as a decentralized landscape. Okay, so where we need to integrate this both the systems. Okay, where we have to integrate this ERP systems and also the EWM systems. That's where we are talking about here. Okay, EWM within the SAP SCM server. This SCM server is a combination of your EWM, which is of your extended warehouse management and your transportation management and APO and your event management. All the other things and all comes into this SCM server. After a couple of years of integration with the ERP, what SAP has done is they have set something called as an EWM standalone. Within this SCM, we do not need to have all the other modules also. You can just make it as an EWM standalone, which we still call it as a decentralized landscape. Okay, so that is where we have this EWM as a standalone server, where we do not need to have your entire TM or your APOs or other informations and all. That is one systems which we have. Now, once this S4 thing has come since from 2015, okay, where we can say that this particular thing like S4HANA embedded landscape. Okay, since from 2016, we have this WM and also an embedded EWM coming up in the same box. Here in the earlier systems, what happens is we used to have ERP of your in a separate box and EWM in a separate box. But that is not the case over here. We used to have a WM in a separate one, in the same one, and EWM also in the same one within the same premises of all the other things. That's where this S4 has come into the picture since from 1610, which is of 2016 and 10th month of the year. That's where we started having a multiple versions 1610, 1709, 1809, and followed by 1909, 2020, And now we have a latest one called the 2021, I believe. That's the embedded latest version of the S4 okay. And the decentralized one, we also have the same way, where we have EWM as a 9.6, okay, and ERP as your normal 7.0 or whatever the latest one, okay. So coming to the systems wise, yes, in this present situation as well, SAP EWM is being offered in two different landscape. One in an embedded landscape, okay, where we have all your modules like your standard traditional modules and your WM and also the EWM in the same one, and the decentralized landscape where we have your ERP in a separate box and your EWM as your separate box. Making sense, guys, everyone? That is the background of your systems integrations and all other stuff. However, this systems integration is a standard integration system between two SAP systems. We do not need to have any kind of an enhancements or an IDOC unless and until the business requirement is really critical. But the standard SAP integration, whatever is being offered, that will be feasible whether if it is a decentralized landscape or it is in an embedded landscape of S4. The training, what we're going to do is an S4 embedded one. If you would like, I'll see if that system is available. If not, we will continue with the S4 embedded EWM one. Okay. Any questions so far, guys, regarding the systems integration? Hello? I'm lost.
No, sure, nothing from mine.
Okay. Okay. That's how the systems integration will help out when we are talking about in the EWM systems. Okay. Like we would be having as an embedded and as well as a decentralized one. Now, coming to the second one, the master data integration. How does this master data transfers from one system into another systems? Okay. So what it really means. So master data in the sense, what kind of a master data that will come here? Any idea? Hello. So when we are referring to a master data in a SAP, so what kind of a master data that we would be talking about all the time?
Material master, business partners and all.
Yeah. So basically, master data in the sense, like you would be having like a material master or maybe a customer master or maybe a vendor master. Okay. And we will also talk about your batches. All these things will have and will come under your master data. Okay. So now there is a slight difference. I mean, like not a slight, it's a major difference, I can say, when we talk about an embedded landscape or when we talk about your decentralized landscape. So what it really does here. So when we are talking about your embedded landscape, the master data, whatever has been created, that need not to be transferred or maybe need not to be moved. So if you can see this here, the, earlier we used to have like the plant or your distribution center or shipping points, your customers or your vendors, everything will be transferred to your SCM server, okay, where it will recreate it into a production plan and all these things. But when we transfer all this master data, basically, that's a kind of an activity, like a cutover activity, we can say that, where we used to have this activity to be performed in a decentralized landscapes. But when we are doing in an embedded landscape, the master data transfer is no more required. It's not required because the plant or your distribution centers or your shipping points or whatever the customers or vendors you're creating, it's only a one single transaction, which we call it as a business partners. And the same tables or the same information will be reused back in the EWM system. So that's the reason that transferring of the master data will no longer required in case of your decentralized, so in the case of your embedded landscape. And the same way, when we are discussing about this embedded landscape, okay, I mean like decentralized landscape, the transfer of the master data would be required. That is one of the major difference I can say when we talk about this master data integrations. First point. Am I clear on this?
Uh, one second, Sriram. I
Yes, please.
understood that I understood from if suppose the decentralized system means we have
Hmm.
to send the master data from the interface, it is going to the SEM box, right?
Exactly. There is an interface
So
which we
yes,
call
yes,
it as
correct.
a core
Yes,
interface
I know.
that will be
So
used.
if you're coming to the S4 HANA, so
Mhm.
from the scratch means we have to create all the business partners or warehouse product or everything, right? If it is
Yes.
not that means we have to create, right? Is it so?
I'm so sorry. Can you please repeat that?
See, in suppose if you are using decentralized means
Mhm.
we can transfer the master data to the SEM box. That's clear.
Exactly. That's right.
And
That is right.
that's clear. That is quite good. And I'm asking about this. If suppose we are using S4 HANA embedded,
Mhm.
okay. So in that from the scratch means we don't have any warehouse product or any
Mhm.
PP or anything. So we have to create from the scratch, right? It
Yes,
is
we need
not
to
there.
create. Yes,
Yeah. So we
we need to
cannot bring
create.
back.
But
Hmm.
the thing is, because the master data, whatever you're creating in your ERP systems, that
Hmm.
need not to be transferred to your EWM system in an embedded one. You're getting my point?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But in case of your decentralized one, that is not the case, where you create this master data in your ERP systems, and then you have to transfer this using a tool called as a core interface, and that tool will help you to transfer your master data to your EWM. And this is a standard tool. There's nothing think of it. But however, this activity, whatever we are carrying forward, is been completely reduced, which is a hell lot of pain when we try to do in a decentralized landscapes. You're getting my point?
Yes.
Clear or not clear? Hello?
I got your point.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
that is what I mean to say that master data integration. Because I'm trying to only tell you the changes of it embedded of the EWM and all this other stuff. Okay, this is one of the major things. And now when we compare about your delivery documents, so what exactly this delivery document refers to? This is what I was telling you earlier regarding the master data ones. Okay, there is no more core interface. Okay, earlier we used to do it and then we have to transfer it and all, but now that is no more required. The same way in the master data ones, you have your earlier we used to have a customer and a vendor transactions, and that customer and vendor we need to transfer to the EWM system, and that creates a business partners. But however, in an embedded landscapes, we directly create a business partner and we will assign a role to that. That's it. We do not need to recreate. Okay, anything there. The same way, now when I'm talking about your delivery transactions, so delivery in the sense like what kind of a delivery is that we generally talk about, as I said earlier, this EWM has been integrated thoroughly with all the other modules in SAP like your PP, MM, QM, SD, all other things. Now when I'm talking about your procurement cycle, where we start your process by creating your purchase orders. Okay, basically if you want to see here, yeah, this is what we can see that we will have a purchase order, and against a purchase order we will have an inbound delivery, and your vendor will directly ship the goods to your warehouse. That's where we will have an ASN, and that gets transferred to your EWM, and then you start performing your EWM activities. However, if you see this, earlier in the decentralized landscapes, what happens is as soon as an inbound delivery gets created, we have something called as a notification back in EWM system. So it's a kind of a duplicate or duplicate. Basically, it's a kind of an entry or a document that it recreates back in the decentralized. If you see this picture on your left hand side or on your right hand side, what happens here in an embedded landscapes? Okay, you see that your purchase orders are created and your inbound delivery is created the same way as your recent rest. And then once we have your inbound delivery created and distributes to your EWM, you do not need to have a notification for that. So a notification would not be required. Basically, what happens? It only requires only a delivery with the same reference of your ERP delivery. Clear? So that's where what happens, the delivery integrations and as well as the other configuration objects related to this particular delivery things has been completely reduced. The same way, if you talk about your inbound, you see this here, we have a purchase order and then we'll have an inbound delivery, and this inbound delivery transfers here to an EWM. This is a decentralized, classic decentralized one. You will have a notification, and this notification followed by a delivery, and then you'll start doing your unloading, picking, put away, and all other things. In a decentralized, in an embedded landscape, if you see here, we have an purchase order followed by an inbound delivery, and that inbound delivery will directly create an inbound delivery. Clear? Or any questions here? First point. Hello? Sorry, am I there or lost?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
clear.
clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, that is how it happens in case of a delivery related transactions. Okay, now the same way when we talk about give me a second, someone is calling me. Okay, yeah, now when we talk about an inbound, the same way when we talk about this outbound, okay, this is a manufacturing case, this is an inbound case, this is an outbound. Like you start creating a sales order, okay, and then we will have your inbound delivery, okay, I'm sorry, outbound delivery, and your outbound delivery transfers to your EWM as a request followed by an outbound delivery, and then you start doing your picking, packing, staging, and all the other stuff. But in case of an embedded landscape, the request was no more required. So which means that in any of the cases, whether it could be an inbound delivery or whether it could be an outbound delivery, what really happens is that duplication of the deliveries are no more required, basically. Making sense, guys, everyone? Any questions? Clear?
Yes.
So the duplication of any of the process, whether you pick up your production scenarios or whether you pick up your inbound scenarios or your outbound scenarios, the delivery duplication is no more required for us. That is what I meant for this particular one, which we talk about the delivery documents integrations. Okay. The same way, the warehouse integrations and also the process integrations. Like earlier, the warehouse integrations, what happens is we used to have, okay, as I said that this embedded one was started way back in 2016 actually, and from then on in every release we used to have a feature will be added depending upon the customer's feedback and depending upon a lot of functionalities. What they try to do is they keep on improve and they release a new functionalities with each releases. So here I have captured few of it, like it's 1709 and also like 2021. I mean, like in 2020 also. Few of it I have tried to capture. I mean, like which are very important for us actually. Okay. Now, one biggest change I can say that in 1709 actually, which was happened till that point of time, we don't even have that particular thing. Okay, where we can, as soon as the deliveries are being distributed to the EWM system, I'm talking about only an outbound process, basically, not any of the inbound here. The thing is, we can still change the, I mean to say that the delivery are still be able to change. Am I making it clear or it's not clear? Please let me know, because I think. Hello.
Yeah, you mentioned that we can change the delivery in EWM as well.
Exactly. So what happens here is in a basic standard SAP flow, actually, once the deliveries has been distributed to your WMS systems, you will not have an option to change the deliveries in terms of what your quantities or maybe the text or maybe your batches or maybe any out of things. You will not have the privilege of changing it. However, from 1709 and still it is getting carried forward this future, what happens is we will have the facility of changing this unless and until the warehouse activities are not started. That's a prerequisite. If the warehouse activities are started, then there is no point of doing it at all. Okay. But the only thing what we need to consider here is that we need to make sure that delivery flag which is at a warehouse level should be activated. That is the one future. Okay, this feature has gave us a lot of relief to many customers. Okay, where if because in most of the outbound scenarios, what happens is when we try to do this pick pack scenarios, actually, there could be a kind of a shortage of a quantities or whatever it is, there where the pick quantity cannot match to your order quantity. So then that point of time, we can use an exception codes and then we can proceed. But that again will create an RFC back to your ERP and get stuck and all. To avoid all these things, yes, there is a future where we can just enable this one and then we can take it ahead. Okay, that is one of the biggest thing I can say where we have it in one of the 1709 release. The same way, we also have many features available in 2020 and in 2021, all those things which I'll try to take you slowly to there, because the very first thing is the fundamentals that we need to understand here. What exactly the EWM is being offered and what is this functionalities and all. So based out of that, yes, we can talk about the other things and all. Okay, because if you're not clear on those things, I don't think this is the point to discuss all these functionalities and all. But yes, so in 1709 we have these features, and then in 2020 we also have production integration scenarios, and then in 2021 also we have a kind of labor management and all the other things and all has been added up slowly. Okay, that's a different thing. Now, when we talk about the EWM processes, basically, okay, here this is all something which we will come back when we are discussing during the sessions. This is one of the things. Apart from that, what I would like to add is these are all the basic processes that we should be aware of. Okay, like the inbound, internal, and the outbound. Now, when I'm talking about this inbound, outbound, and this all other stuff, now when we talk about this particular EWM, we will majorly talking about two different processes actually. One is your layout oriented storage control. The other one is your process oriented storage control. Okay, so I'll just explain you that actually. So when we talk about this particular layout oriented or maybe a process oriented, these are the two different business processes depending upon your the layout of your warehouse. This will vary actually. We need to incorporate the requirements basically based on that. But the standard SAP offers basically does these two things. One is the layout oriented storage control, and the other one is process oriented storage control. Okay. Now, when we talk about this process oriented storage control, what it offers here, okay, means we will have a step by step process. Like for example, I'll take one of the process which we call it as a deconsolidation process in the EWM. So maybe it's a general best example I can say in most of the beverage industries, or maybe when we go to any kind of an retail industries. Basically what happens is I believe everyone knows what is a pallet or what is a carton here. Does anyone not aware of this one? Hello? I believe the box, this is how we will call it, as a box or a carton in a warehouse. I believe you are aware of it, this one, right? And a
Yes.
pallet. This is the terminologies which we will keep on using it. So these we call it as a pallet, where we keep our boxes of the cartons on this pallet and then we ship out. Basically, this is how it looks like an warehouse. Like you see here. A typical example. This is a part. Oh, yeah, made not this one. You see this I can take. Okay, so you see. What did that open or not open? I don't think so. It's opening. Okay. I think it's if you see this particular one here, guys, this is a pallet, okay, and this is a boxes. I mean, like you see on the top here, like this is kind of a pallet or whatever it is. It is being received, okay. This is a pulled kind of because where this is a kind of a roller storage actually, okay, where you can just put your and then you can drag it and all, but that's a different story. Now, what I'm trying to say is this is how you receive the products inside your warehouse. Okay, however, what we are trying to talk here, I'm just making sure, okay, that, okay. Now we will talk about one of the complicated process, which we call it as a deconsolidation process. This is part of this process-oriented storage control. However, this process-oriented storage control, what it does is, it moves the product in a particular sequence, which has been set up in the system. Now, like for example, let's take, we have received this kind of a pallet in your warehouse, okay, like this one, whatever I'm trying to share. Hello. So let me tell you that you have received this pallet, okay, which is a kind of a mixed products in that, okay. Mixed products in the sense you have a packet in one pallet, you have a product A and as well as product B. Like you say that, like in a beverage industries, you can take, you have your Coke and your Pepsi coming in the same pallet. Now, once you receive these products inside your warehouse, okay, like for example, where is this gone? Yeah. So we receive this kind of a pallet. However, once we receive this pallet, what we supposed to do? We have to separate the product A and as well as the product A, B, and then we want to perform the put away. So put away is nothing but you will try to store it in your one of the aisles. What we have, I mean, in the storage type. Now, in order to perform that, definitely it is not as soon as you unload from your truck or from your vehicle, you can't straight away perform the put away because you need to verify the products and you need to verify the quantity, and then you have to separate that products, and then you have to repack it back again in a new handling units, I mean like in the new boxes, and then only you can perform the put away. Logically, this is what the process we do. Making sense, guys, everyone? Yes or no? Maybe
Yes.
if we can take it in a very layman terms, like whenever you try to shift your house or somewhere, basically, what you try to do from one place to another place, you definitely will pack all your goods in one big boxes, right? For example, your dining area products into one box, and your hall area into a one box, and your play area into another box and all. Okay, so everything will be separated into separate boxes. So what happens if any of these products get mixed, like your play area products and your dining area products gets mixed? What do you do? Definitely you have to open that, and then you have to separate these products, and then you'll either you put it in a new box or either you directly perform the put away onto their designated places. Agreed, everyone? That's the same thing what we do it in warehouse business. What we try to do, we try to put everything into not into one box, I mean like into one pallet here. We try to separate those products and then we perform the put away. This is something which we talked in a very simple way. But when we talk this the same way in a system perspective, yes, we have to identify the steps for that. Okay, what would be the first step? Yes, it would be an unloading step. Means from a designated vehicle, you would be unloading this pallet. So where you would be unloading this pallet? In at the entrance of your warehouse, which is at a door. Now, once you unload the goods there, what you try to do? Of course, you'll scan and then you'll search and then you'll see whatever it is. You'll do all the activities and then you will move it to at a certain place because you can't put everything in front of your door, right? Once that the particular place where you're storing it, that is what we call it as a staging area or maybe an interim locations. We'll call that. Okay. Once we store that products in a staging area, that's where the activity gets starts. We will scan the products and then we'll understand, okay, this is a mixed pallet where it needs to be break down into two different things and then you have to perform the put away. At that point of time, what we try to do, we will either move it to a designated area called as a work center where we perform all this sort of activities like labeling, relabeling or repacking or deconsolidating. All these kind of activities will be performed there. Then we will move this pallet to that particular place and then we perform the required activities and then we will split the original pallet into two different pallets here. You see this, the two boxes what I'm trying to highlight here. Okay, this one and this one. So the original one is this what we have received and this will be split up in the work center and then some of the work center and then we'll have it in the two different ones and then we will perform the put away. In order to perform this, there should be a certain sequence. As I said, that is what we call it as a process oriented storage control. Means there would be a certain process which will be defined for these products upfront in the warehouse. Means if you are receiving this Coke and Pepsi products in your warehouse in a mixed pallet, the system will tell you, hey man, you have to follow this certain sequential process. First step, unloading. Second step, deconsolidation. Third step, final put away. So these are all the final steps which we would need to have in terms of a process-oriented storage control. Within this process-oriented storage control, you ideally have a lot of process again. One of the processes is something which I've discussed now, which we call it as a deconsolidation. But we have something called as a VAS, which is nothing but your value-added services, where we will have some additional activity to the products, like lubricating the products or any of those things. Okay. All these kind of things would be performed. First thing, am I clear or it's too technical? First one.
No.
Yeah. For me, yeah, it is little technical, I feel, because it is definitely new for us, the EWM terminology.
Yeah. Try to understand the process, what we are trying to discuss. Forget about the other stuff and all. Okay.
Process is clear.
Yeah, because this process has to be now, for example, if we want to correlate this business into an IT requirement, because this is how the business will tell you, and definitely you need to put back into an IT stuff. So that's where this EWM will come into a huge configuration for this. Okay, but that's something which we will discuss that later. Now only let's talk about what is being offered and what we are trying to do, because I'm trying to tell you what this process-oriented storage control is going to tell you. Means each and every step should be predefined in the system. That is what the major thing that you need to understand here. Okay, am I clear or any questions here, please? Yes, no, guys.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So now, sorry, someone is asking me a question. Hello. Questions, guys? I'm sorry. I think I stopped someone. I believe no.
Nothing. No, sir.
Okay. So this is one of the processes, which is nothing but a process-oriented storage control. And in this process, as I said, we have a multiple things, guys. Within the inbound and the outbound, a lot of things will come in place actually, that we will discuss that in length. But this is one thing. Now, when I talk about a layout oriented one, that is one of the other process which I was talking, right? Because EWM is a core of these two processes. If you are able to understand these two processes, guys, like I can say like 80% of the business you are clear on it. Okay, there's nothing much that you would like to understand, because these are the two major processes that we have to understand. One is a layout oriented and the other one is a process oriented one. Okay, now a layout oriented, in the sense, what happens is this is mostly used, guys, in the semi-automated warehouses. It means, where do we use this? For example, now as I told you that, okay, from maybe, hold on, I'll come to this controls is properly. For example, here, maybe, yeah, perfect. This is what I was looking for. Now, if you see here, guys, uh, this is how basically your vehicles comes in and then it gets docked to your doors, right? And from there, once it is docked to the doors, okay, you have to perform the put away. See, okay, what happens here is, once they try to unload and they will place everything here. That is what the staging area I was referring to, basically. You're getting my point, everyone? Hello? So this is what the staging area, the complete one, where they will try to put it over. This is completely running up. It's a generic one. Right, I'll try to open another diagram. Okay, you can see here, this is the vehicles where they come in and then they dock it, and from here you will pick the goods and then you will take it to your warehouse. Now, in this particular one, where you will place the goods temporarily, because first you need to unload the goods and then you'll store it, and then from there you'll have to pick it up. However, in some business cases, what happens is there would be a kind of a conveyors from this particular place, which will directly lead to your final put away storage types. Getting my point? Kind of a semi-automated warehouses types. Okay, you do not need to do any activities. Like if you see a kind of a material flow system where you have a roller containers, or maybe, yeah, this would be a best thing. You see here where the pallets, this is a kind of an milk industry or something, where what happens, they will unload it here, and from there you'll have a PLC connect, as we'll call it. Okay, and from here you directly move the goods to your final destination once. Okay, see, this is what we will have it like an automated warehouse systems. The pallet comes in and the pallet gets scanned here, and as soon as it scans, based on the system configuration, it will activate, okay, which aisle and which storage type it has to go. It directly goes. So this is a process where you cannot perform a process-oriented storage control. It is a kind of a layout-oriented storage control base, where which would be ideally used for your semi-automated warehouses. Okay, so these are the two business scenarios which I was talking about, where we can have this processes, like what, whether it could be your inbound or it could be your outbound or your internal, it doesn't matter. Any of these processes, first it has to fit into these two things actually. Okay, Now, when I'm talking about in the inbound, transport unit processing means how you are managing your vehicles in your EWM system. Means, of course, you have your shipments, like when we have your LETRA concepts, maybe people from an SD background, they can correlate this. They will have a shipment creations, and the shipments will create a transport unit back in the EWM systems, basically. Okay. This transport units means how are we processing that in order to keep a track of, because each shipment will have a multiple deliveries there. Okay. That is what we will have transport unit processing. How are you doing? And goods receipt management means how you are receiving the goods and how are you managing the goods in your warehouse. Okay. And the quality management, how exactly you are managing the quality and how the quality setup you have been set up in your warehouse. And an internal routing means in the sense how you are routing your goods internally in the inbound process. The same way storage operates physical inventories. Yes, how exactly you are performing your physical inventory, like cycle count, or maybe on a daily basis or a monthly basis or an ad hoc basis, what you're doing it. That's kind of an inventory counts. Replenishments or rearrangements, because the stock which is getting finished on a high rack zone has to be replenished very frequently from another place, where you call it as a kind of a safe storage. So those kind of a process that we call it as a replenishment or a rearrangement. The same way when we talk about your outbound, okay, how are you doing your picking, packing, and your staging? Okay, on what basis you are performing these activities, and how the route is being planned, which is based on your customers, or the wave management, how it is being performed, the picking is being happening. So there are a lot many functionalities in these things, the picking optimization, and the load management. Yes, as soon as you finish your picking, how are you loading the goods? Okay, that is what we call it as a load management. So these are all the processes what we see here are part of your process oriented storage control and as well as your layout. Apart from these things, okay, don't compare these things, but the rest of all, like the transport units or the outbound route and all, will fall under those things only. And the same way, you have the reporting steps and all, how the resources are being managed in a warehouse, and how your labor management and your tracking and eye on your labors, and a cross-docking scenarios on your yard management, and how your RF devices, like because most of the warehouses will be using an RF device, which is a handheld radio frequencies devices actually. Maybe if you have seen that. Have you ever seen it? These are the devices. Okay, how are you connecting these devices, and how do we use these devices, and how you're performing it? Okay, those kind of things actually, and many optimization tools. So these are all the things that will be covered as part of our the content one, or what we are discussing. And apart from that, okay, these are all the things that we will take it forward. We also have something called as a, see, this is what I have kept it down here, with a comparison of your ECC with WM and with an EWM. You see here, these are all the processes that you do not even see in your WM. We only have it in your EWM side. Okay. And additionally, this is one of the tools that we can see, the post-processing framework also, where we use it for your printings or your workflows or for your baddies or your emails, for all the other things, we will be using it. These are all the information that we will be discussing in detail. Okay. I mean, like when we step into the sessions, because these are all things, a lot of things that we need to cover up here. So coming to the processes wise, these are all the major processes that we will be covering up in the system as part of a content. And apart from that, you have any questions or anything, guys? Someone? Hello. Sorry, am I there? I'm lost.
Yeah.
Sorry, any questions or any specific things that you're looking out for?
Nothing from my end. I'm just worried. I'm just because I'm a fresher, because I don't have any previous experience of SAP at all.
Yep.
I was wondering how long will it take, because the participants have experienced on some 40s, isn't it?
Yeah, it really depends upon the practice. That's it. There's nothing else here. Okay. The way it might take some time to absorb these things, that's for sure. It's not that easy, EWM one. But the only thing is the practice. How many times you do it, that's where you'll understand. Because EWM is a hell lot of configurations, For performing one activity, you need to have at least like 10-15 steps of configuring back in the system. So you need to remember that each and everything very good. Okay, it's not something that you can do it now and maybe after 1 month if you come back, you're gonna forget that for sure. But however, the only thing is, yeah, for people like for freshers or maybe for other people, definitely it will take some time to absorb these things when we compare with another SAP functional guys who are having 10-15 years of experience, because they know how an SAP works. But the only thing is for them also it would be a new, because they would have never seen these terminologies which I would be talking about. Okay, but it remains, the only thing is the effort is the most important thing I can say. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, this is what I would be taking up in the course content and everything, guys. Probably, if you have any questions, you can speak out to me now. If not, if it is related to any kind of an administrative or any other things and all, you can speak out to Naveen on it. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, last one. I got one last question, Sriram.
Yes,
Sorry
please.
about this. Once we're done with the training, I understand that because I don't have any further experience. Once if I put effort of like good 6 months, when I float my CV, how much experience can I wait
That
on?
is because this training, maybe you can check back with Naveen. There were many people who got trained and they got easily placed, and like 4 to 5 years of experience they can put on easily. That's what the training which I normally provide. Actually, it's not something a basic thing I never provide. Let's say with
Okay.
the real time, I just provide an examples how we can do it and all the other stuff, and all with the complex scenarios and all. I'll put it. Okay.
Okay, which you came across in your work environment. That's
Yeah,
what you.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, you can't shade the it's not like other technologies where we can run it through, but you're going to provide the insight of how it went through in your
Yeah.
experience,
Yes.
and we can use that as our CV building. Can I say that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
So any questions to anyone regarding the content or regarding the anything? I can help you out, guys. Maybe if you have any other things apart from this, like the administration activities and other stuff, that's something you can check back with Naveen. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone? We all good? No? Yes?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we are good.
It's about the
So,
timings, but I always said speak to Naveen about it. Yeah, thanks for that, sir. It was
no
nice.
problem, because content-wise, as I said, that I could not put a lot of things in the demo part because it's been a demo one. I can just only give you an overview kind of a thing. Once we step into the sessions, yes, I can promise you that, yeah, you can definitely have a lot of things and a lot of things we can get it up. Okay.
And this is more of a real time as well. So you're going to share we can do life cycles maybe to end
Yes.
to end. See that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Sriram.
Hey, hi.
Yeah, I joined the meeting lately.
Yes,
So
please.
can I get its recorded version?
Yeah, I think you can check back with Navin. I think he should be having that. Okay.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you.
So, thank you. All right, then. If you have nothing to ask to me, then we can sign off and then have a good day rest of the time. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Bye bye.